Hey guys and gals, this is Sonic Arrow with the Leopard 1 Tier 10 German medium tank on the 8.5 public test. The Leopard 1 has 1,950 hit points and weighs about 40 tons with an 830 horsepower engine. Speed limit of 65 kilometers per hour, which means, well, with the engine power and the weight of this tank, you will reach the 65 kilometer per hour speed limit very quickly, very easily. And you've got a great acceleration. It's got, let's just check, 20.5 horsepower per ton ratio. So that's actually really good for a German tank. In fact, it's really good for any medium tank. It's got a 54 degrees per second track traverse and a 36 degrees per second turret traverse, which is really, really good for a German tank. It turns magnificently. 410 meter view range and a 750 meter signal range. So that's actually better than average. The average is 400 meters for view range, and well, the signal range is about the same for all tier 10s anyway. So it has the same view range as the FV4202 British medium tank, and 10 meters less than the M48A1 Patton, which is sitting at 420 meters. Armor-wise, this thing is not very armored at all. In fact, pretty much every shot taken on you will penetrate. 70 millimeters of a hull armor on the front, 35 on the side, and 25 on the back. It's got 52 millimeters on the front of the turret, 60 on the side and back of the turret. And you might think, well, we could always use the turret armor. It looks rather sloped, right? But 52 millimeters is not really much, and even with the MacLeod, it doesn't add enough to offset the 200 plus millimeters of penetration that tier 10 tanks have, even tier 9 tanks. Now with the armor, you're going to have to watch out for artillery and the FV215B183s firing Hesh rounds. Those things will kill you in one shot with the low amount of hit points you have. Well, it's not really low, just it's a little bit lower than the E50M. Artillery rounds will deal full damage to you, mostly because you don't have any armor at all, and well, they'll most likely one-shot you. Equipment-wise, well, you got ventilation and a medium caliber tank gun rammer. You could fit a vertical stabilizer on this thing, but with the cannon being 1.9 seconds of aiming time, with a 0.3 accuracy, you can get away with putting coated optics, which will improve your view range by 41 meters. So that's pretty good. Now, back to the cannon. It's got a 6.67 round per minute rate of fire with an average penetration of 268 and average damage of 390. So that's average kind of damage for these kind of cannons. And the penetration is only 2 millimeters less than the E50M, but it fires slightly faster. I believe it reloads in about 8 seconds. Now for ammunition, I've loaded 48 regular rounds and 12 HE. You don't really need heat rounds unless you're playing in Clan Wars. 350 millimeters of average penetration with the heat rounds. A few things to note. We can come in here and check that you can buy gold, these gold consumables for credits, but it'll cost you 20,000 to buy an automatic fire extinguisher, or you know, a large repair kit and a large first aid kit. So really at this point, because the engine, if we take a look at the engine, it has a 10% chance of fire, and it's in the back, so you don't really need an automatic fire extinguisher, but I guess it is nice to have one, and 20,000, it's a little costly, but if you are constantly set on fire, then you might want to think about it. Now, we're going to compare it to its closest competitor, the E50M. Right here, this guy. The E50M has 100 more hit points, and it weighs about 20 tons more Comparative engine power is pretty much the same. I mean, 19 horsepower per ton versus the 20.5 on the Leopard 1. Now, track traverse is a lot slower, and turret traverse is slower as well, but it has a lot more armor. 185 on the turret, 120 on the hull, and 80 on the side and back. However, my experience with the E50M is in Clan Wars, and in Clan Wars, you don't really bounce too much with the E50M. These guys are usually used for scouting purposes. Medium tanks, in general, in Clan Wars are used for scouting purposes and then coming back or getting into a position relatively quickly and taking it. And I think a Leopard 1 can do that a little bit better. It has a lot more armor than the Leopard 1, but it's slower. Well, slower on acceleration and turning and stuff like that. Speed is relatively the same, 60 kilometers per hour versus 65, but the Leopard 1 can reach it really easily. Now, other tanks you want to compare it to would be the M48A1 Patton. It's only got 50 less hit points than the M48A1 Patton. Armor-wise, the Patton has more on the front, but the Patton has like these weird slopes on them, so it's got, not weird, but just really good sloping on the armor, so sometimes they can get some good bounces. And, well, horsepower per ton is 16.82, so it is, the acceleration is a lot slower. I played it a little bit. It's not as fast either, 45 km per hour speed limit. But the view range is much better. Other things, well, I guess the FV4202 is a little bit similar, but the armor-wise, the FV is much better. It is a lot slower though, so I think the Leopard 1 is kind of like an FV4202, but without the armor. It has similar hit points, similar weight, similar engine power, but because of the weight of the armor on the FV, it's a lot slower. 50 track traverse and 40 degrees per second of turret traverse. The cannons are actually quite similar as well. This is the 105mm Royal Ordnance L7A1 with 6.45 round per minute rate of fire. Leopard 1 gets the 10.5 centimeter, what's an L7A3, which is basically, it's the same cannon, but with a German, it's like a German twist on it, I guess. It fires faster as well. It's got better aiming time and better accuracy than the FV4202, but I think it's an FV4202 without the armor, which means it gets more speed, but it loses it in armor department. So I've got gun depression stuff on the Leopard 1, and it's really good for the Germans. So Leopard 1 gets 9 degrees of gun depression and 20 degrees of gun elevation, and that's pretty much up there with the only thing that beats it is the FV4202 with 10 degrees of gun depression and 20 degrees of gun elevation. M48A1 Patton gets 9 degrees gun depression, 19 degrees of elevation. Bat Chat, 6 degrees of gun depression, 11 degrees of elevation. The Chinese 121 gets 3 degrees of gun depression and 15 degrees of gun elevation. T62A gets 5 degrees of gun depression and 17 degrees of gun elevation. E50M, its cousin, I suppose. Not really a cousin, but it's another tier 10 German medium tank. Gets 6 degrees of gun depression and 17 degrees of gun elevation. So this thing, if we take a look at it from the side, it's pretty small, right? E50M is a little bit bigger, and I actually find that when trying to scout with this tank, it's not a really good idea because of how tall it is. It's taller than the Bat Chat, obviously, and it doesn't have the view range to scout properly. M48A1 Patton, it's a little bit taller, but it's got more view range. And here's the FV4202. It's you know, a similar size to the Leopard 1 and T62A over here. It's a little bit shorter. It's got a massive signal range though, but the turret on the T62A is kind of, it's got 240 millimeters on the front of this thing, and it's really well sloped, so it's not really a direct comparison. It is a tier 10 medium, but it functions slightly differently. Alright, so with the Leopard 1, you may want to try hull down, but actually you want to cover your entire tank and do not expect your turret to bounce any shots. With the 9 degrees of gun depression on this thing, it's a lot better than the E50M, but no turret armor means it doesn't matter if you're only showing your turret. You're going to get hit. Well, if you get hit, it's going to penetrate. It is a smaller target, so you'll want to use the gun depression to your advantage, but after you fire, or anticipating your enemy's fire and reload times, you want to pop out at correct times, show as little of your tank as possible, take a shot really quickly, because you can do this with the 1.9 second aiming time, and then go back down and reload. Alright, let's see, anything else? Not really. I guess we'll go into the replays, and I'll see you guys there. Here's a quick size comparison between the Leopard 1 and the other tier 10 mediums, and I'd like to point out that the Batchat has better side armor than the Leopard 1, although the Leopard 1 has a little bit more frontal armor than the Batchat, but there's a bit of size difference, as you can see. So onto the replays. Alright, we're on steps for the first battle, and I'm just going to hang around over here a little bit before heading to the east. You can see acceleration is superb on this tank, and that can actually get you into a lot of trouble with the high speed that this thing also gets. The only thing that can keep up with you are scout tanks, other Leopard 1s, and the Batchat. So, if you are the only fast tank on your team, then you're probably going to want to wait a little bit unless you're going into an advanced position to scout. And scouting with this thing isn't too bad. It's got a 410 meter view range, so that's pretty good. And the cannon is really accurate.
Enemy armor is damaged.
The weak armor on this thing is what's going to get you into trouble when you're out alone in an incredibly forward position, and not much backup behind you. Heavy tanks normally will be a minute behind you if you're going in one direction only, and they take their time. Obviously, on this side, I've only got medium tanks with me and a tank destroyer. So I'm using the gun depression, which this thing does have, even though it's a German tank, and it seems to be pretty good. And basically I'm just waiting for an opportunity to shoot something. Those guys are up there, and it's not this is not a great forward tank. It doesn't have any armor to speak of, and it's at least it's a smaller target than other German mediums.
Penetration.
Or at least it is slightly smaller than the E50M. I know that for sure. Alright, so I was a little slow on that shot, but that's okay. Those guys took care of it pretty handily. They only took minimal damage, of course. And even the French tank is up there as well. French TD. Alright. So I'm just going to head over here onto this ridge and be able to get some side shots in on this guy.
Nice shot.
This gun is really accurate, and I like it a lot. Its reload time is about 8 seconds. That's not too bad either.
Got them.
In fact, it's like an E50M's gun, but it aims faster and
They're hit.
well, reloads faster as well. Alright, those FV215B183s, those guys can actually one-shot kill a Leopard 1, so you're going to have to watch out for those. There aren't too many of those on the live server because they are actually quite hard to get, and the British TDs are a little bit new. So in a Leopard 1, you're going to want to peek out, take your shot, oh, no damage there, and reverse so that nobody can shoot back at you. No armor, even your turret doesn't have armor, so don't count on that to bounce anything either. You might get a few lucky bounces, but not too many. So Leopard 1, you can use this as a in conjunction with a bat chat, like you would a bat chat, but keep in mind that it does not have an autoloader. You cannot deal 1,000 points of damage and then get out of there. You're gonna have to plan your attacks a lot more carefully, like normal attacks. Alright, well, we won the game, and I was testing the speed, and I forgot about this part. So, on to the next replay. Alright, so this is Corella, and you can see over there, there is actually a VK7201K over there. The new, it's a super tester only German heavy tank at tier 10, and obviously our team decided that they wanted to check it out. So, I also wanted to check it out, but I actually wanted to get a nice game, and it didn't work out too well in this one either. But, you know, you gotta go on science with less people, I guess. This tank is, as I was saying before, it can be used like a bat chat in certain situations. Now you can see going over here, it's really fast. Doesn't matter what terrain you're on, you're gonna go there at a fast speed. Let's see. Nothing much going on right now, so I can talk to you about some of the improvements that they've added. You can see on the top of the screen there's a little animation thing, and to see like what tanks you have left and what tanks the enemy has left in terms of heavy, medium, tank destroyers, and artillery. You can see they have animations for when our bat chat dies and our TD just died, and you know, the lit ones are what's alive. And I suppose that's another indication of how well your team is doing. And here I'm just sitting over here because this Leopard 1 is being proximity spotted by me. He knows I'm here as well because we're both in each other's 50-meter range. And I'm just waiting for some of my allies to move up. They're not being shot at. They know there's a Leopard 1 here. They're just sitting back there though. So it actually takes a while for them to do anything. You can see they're just waiting there. I'm waiting here. Leopard 1 is waiting there. Big waiting game right now. So I'm gonna move over here because I'm hoping that they can cover my rear. Maybe I can get a shot in on a T-57. You can see the Leopard 1 is actually pointing in my direction. Nope, he's changed. Now he's moving again. Yeah. I'm just gonna see if I can spot anything. It doesn't look like there's anything there. Most of their team seems to be down near that donut area. Okay. Another thing to note, this tank against an auto-loading French or American, not good. Looks like he's not paying attention. Bouncing around a little bit, move out, take a shot. And there we go. Right, so against any auto-loading tanks, you're going to want to be careful. You don't want to go against any auto-loading tanks at all because, well, you have no armor, and French tanks, well, sorry, auto-loading tanks will be able to get all of their 4 or 6 shots into you and deal full damage because of how little armor you have, and that's not a good thing because you've only got 1,950. Also, artillery, you gotta watch out for those guys. You do not want to stay in an artillery open position for very long. Oh, yeah, that guy's gone. Artillery open positions are very bad because having no armor anywhere, you can actually get penetrated and receive full HE damage from artillery if they hit your front. So that's not a good thing at all. Artillery is going to have a great time with this tank if it's not moving. Obviously, when you're moving, you're a really hard target to hit. Artillery is, well, you know, they're kind of slow to aim, obviously, but they do pack a punch, and their HE damage is devastating for this tank. FV215B A183s firing Hesh ammo can deal tons of damage. A one shot from the Jagdpanzer E100 will also deal an enormous amount of damage. It might not kill you, but you're going to be left on pretty much nothing. Right, so there's an object, 212. Doesn't seem like he noticed me. Oh, maybe he has, but that was actually a pretty high roll right there. Don't know why he stopped, but there we go. Looks like our team might be losing, so I'm going to stay on cap. Nice hit on the Jagdpanzer E100 as well. And he's actually over there. I can get a nice shot in before we shoot him again. And looks like those guys will be able to take care of him. And now I'm going to move out of position so that they can't shoot across and try to hit me. Really not much else is happening. I actually do end the cap, and we'll just move on to the next replay. We're on Abbey this time, and I'm just gonna head to the west direction. A little bit more on the tank. I think this thing could be the next tank I go for. I am actually going for several tanks at the moment, but they are on, well, they're stalled pretty much. I'm not really in a position to get much tier 10s at the moment, and I think the Leopard 1 could change that. It's a pretty fun tank to play. I know that the tier 8 and tier 9s have their own quirks in them. Mostly the no armor is there in the Indian Panzer and the Leopard prototype. However, let's see, Leopard prototype has the same kind of gun, but it reloads a lot slower, and I don't think it has as much gun depression. It's got the same kind of armor, it doesn't really have much at all. And the Indian Panzer, well, it's got a funny look to it. But it does have a pretty good gun. That 90mm gun on it looks pretty awesome. So I'm gonna have to go for that. Leopard 1, it's really just a fast tank with a good gun. And I don't know if that's enough for me. I might actually like heavier armor, don't know yet. So I'll be working on the Indian Panzer at some point. Alright. Pretty good accuracy right there. You know, this thing is, it's pretty good when you're not in a head-to-head situation. Apparently, wait, I was considering to turn around there because our Leopard 1 that was going the back pass. So they come up here, it doesn't look like I did any damage there, that's not good. So I'm just gonna head back down there. Because this guy decided he'd want to come up here. And I believe there was a tier 10 heavy tank. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that was the one. I was afraid that this guy would come up behind us, so... This thing can change positions relatively quickly. And I kind of like that, you know, when you're getting capped sometimes and you're just in a tank that's not fast enough to get back. Well, this thing probably could get back, and with the accuracy of the gun and the 110 view range, you might actually be able to hit somebody on the cap and then roll in and do the rest of your defending. I don't want to get in front of this guy because he does have a really large gun and it hurts a lot, and he also fires quite quickly. There, okay, he's actually turned around, so... Oh dear. So there we go. Managed to track the AMX, which is nice.
We nailed him back.
So basically we saw all of our AMX 50 F155 fire 2 shots down into the little town over there, and then 1 shot into this guy, which means he's on reload. This guy doesn't seem to want to get away from me, he just wanted to get a kill, I guess, I don't know. And now we're just gonna support our Jagdpanzer E100.
Nice shot.
What is this? This Leopard 1 keeps on changing position way too much. That Jagdpanzer E100 probably could have used this help, but I guess it doesn't really matter. There's only a T-62 left, and we're going to win this match. So I like the Leopard 1. In my opinion, it is really, really good. I don't care about the armor because even my E50M with its 120 millimeters on the front and 185 on the turret is not that great in a tier 10 match. So more about that later on. The average experience gained from each of those 3 games was about 700 to 800 points of experience. It's not actually that much, but I haven't had too many games in the Leopard 1. It's actually kind of hard to get onto the test server at the moment. You gotta wait 3 to 4 hours to get in at this time. Well, at the times I'm trying to get in anyway. But with the, the few games that I've played, I think this is a really good tank. I appreciate that it's a fast tank. There's finally a maneuverable tank for the Germans, but I don't know, that's not really in German character style. It's not something that their entire line consists of. This is fast, it's maneuverable. It does have the accurate gun that the Germans usually get, but none of the armor. This is, I don't know, it's kind of the opposite in every way except for the cannon. E50M was heavily armored for a medium tank. It was actually kind of fast, but it didn't turn very well. This thing is not armored at all, turns very well, and the 2 guns are actually kind of similar. So I think this could be, if you guys are a real German tank lovers, or you got really high tier tanks in the German line, but you don't really have, any high tier mediums that you want to get. Well, you might want to get the high tier mediums for other nations, but you don't have the time and the money to grind through from tier 2 to 10 again. So the Leopard 1, I forgot to show you the tech tree, but it's branching off from the VK3002DB, which has been renamed to the VK30.02D, and then that's at tier 7. Then you need 81,100 experience from that to get to the tier 8 Indian Panzer, and then after that to the Leopard prototype, and then the Leopard 1. So yeah, forgive me, I forgot to show you the tech tree, and I don't actually have a picture of that right now, so I'll just have to tell you. The other way to get to the Indian Panzer is through the VK2801 from the light tank branch. You're going to have to play through that. That's a tier 6 light tank. You have to get the tier 7 light tank, which is actually it's a really weird name, but it basically means Panther Scout. It's a Panther chassis with a Leopard, stock tank would be a Leopard turret on it, and then an upgrade would be putting on the VK2801's turret on top of that. That's not actually a very fun tank to drive. I've driven it a little bit, but I'm not really a scout player, so I can't tell you too much about it. And then after that you can reach the Indian Panzer. My suggestion is to take the VK3002D route or the VK3002DB at this point. Grind out 81,100 experience, and then you'll be able to get to the Indian Panzer immediately when the 8.5 patch releases. I guess I'll be putting out a few videos, or maybe just one video on the VK3002DB, and should be able to get that out before 8.5 releases. So this is just a quick glance. Well, it's not really quick, 30 minutes. This is a glance at the Leopard one, and you can see that it looks pretty sleek. It's got great angles on it, but no armor, so watch out for the artillery, watch out for HE shells, and use the maneuverability to your advantage. Don't get hit. I'll be grinding through this line myself, although a bit slowly, because I still want to get a tier 10 heavy at some point. So, you know, I'll get videos out eventually on these guys. Thanks for watching. Please press that like button and leave some comments. I'll see you in future videos.